What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So yesterday, Tetsuya Nomura, the producer onto the Kingdom Hearts series, the main creative force behind the series, recently did an interview with Game Informer and Kimberly Wallace about the future of Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts 4 specifically was a big topic of this interview, and I thought it was really interesting. So I kind of wanted to go through and go over some parts of the interview that I thought were really cool, really interesting. And even though Nomura said when Kingdom Hearts 4 was revealed back in April, and that interview with Famitsu, that we wouldn't be getting more, honestly, he drops quite a bit of Kingdom Hearts information in here, and I wanted to kind of go over and show what he's kind of going for, what I think my thoughts and interpretation of his answers are, because he does address a lot of stuff in it. So first up, let me see if I can get my computer work. There we go. So the series celebrated 20 years. How does it feel to look back on the last 2 decades? And what do you hope Kingdom Hearts legacy will be? He kind of goes over in this section. He talks about how long Kingdom Hearts has been, how he kind of doesn't feel it's been that long, which, I mean, I think everybody who's a Kingdom Hearts fan kind of feels that same way, because I mean, it's hard to believe it's a 20-year-old series at this point. Then he talks about the cliffhangers in this section, where he says that he tries to create a self-contained story while doing cliffhangers. That's a little tough, because I feel like every Kingdom Hearts connects to each other, which, I mean, they all do. But, I mean, I kind of get what he's going for, because, like, you could... I mean, when you look at, like, Kingdom Hearts 2, it kind of does have its own wrapped-up, satisfied ending. This section I really like right here. What has been your favorite cliffhanger to see fans' reaction to? He talks about the original Kingdom Hearts and how a lot of people didn't think it was going to continue going. But this is the part that really gets me. He goes... Also in Kingdom Hearts 3, when Lucio takes off the hood at the very end, I really enjoyed seeing the fans' reactions, just because it was something that I'd really hoped for. So, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and Lucio is in my top 2 favorite characters when he was just known to us as Xigbar, like even before the reveal. That entire sequence blew me away. I loved it. It was my favorite moment in the series. I think it's really crazy to see that go. And I remember watching reaction videos to it just to see if anybody else felt the same way that I did about it, because it was insane. Did you expect characters from games like Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days to become so popular? Do you feel like the stories are complete, or can we expect more of the characters in Kingdom Hearts 4? This is really interesting, because there's always that kind of... I don't want to say divide, but there's a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans that, like, Sora and Riku in the main cast are not necessarily their favorites, which is totally understandable. Like the Birth by Sleep, the Wayfinder trio and the Twilight Town trio and stuff like that. Those are their favorites, and that's who they hope more for. I've met a couple other fans that are kind of like, I wish they were the focus of the series. And in here, one of the first tidbits of Kingdom Hearts 4 information that we get in this section is the story for Kingdom Hearts 4 is more focused on Sora's disappearance. So it's all about Sora's disappearance. That's what the whole thing of Kingdom Hearts 4 is really about. Which I think everybody kind of figured that, but it's nice to hear we're kind of getting more plot details on that. Now, this is probably, I would say, the most talked about part of the interview that I've seen a lot of the community kind of go crazy about and talk about. Another area where we saw Kingdom Hearts 5 surge was seeing Sora and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Can you talk about your feelings on having Sora involved? And he goes, most of the feedback when Sora's announced was, I can't believe Disney okayed for him to be in this game. Behind the scenes, I was actually the one being very picky about his appearance in Smash Bros. Disney was the one that was like, go ahead, this is a great opportunity. I thought it would be tough to pull it off because it might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and the Disney worlds, so it was an opportunity I had to consider very carefully. After seeing how happy everybody was in welcoming Sora to Smash Bros, I feel like the end result was really great. So for years, if you've been a part of any online chatter where people were going to talk about Kingdom Hearts, Sora, and Smash. Sora for Smash. The main big consensus was Disney would not allow it. It's a Disney property. Disney is very picky about that stuff, and they wouldn't allow it. Here, Nomura essentially deconfirms that and basically is saying, like, I was the one that was making it very difficult for Sora to get into Smash. And understandably so, because he wanted it to fit in continuity. He wanted it to make sense and stuff. I know that's really weird because for me, I'm a comic book fan, so obviously for me, I'm just like, yo, just do a crossover if you want. But it's interesting, and I really think that's a very cool tidbit. I wonder if that's... I would love to get more of the Disney Square relationship one day. I'm pretty sure there's articles and stuff on there about that. I believe Disney was heavily involved with how the Frozen world was portrayed in Kingdom Hearts 3 and stuff. But it's still very interesting to see because for Smash Bros, they must know the success and popularity of Smash Bros. So they were probably just like, hey, throw it in there. We want to see our boy in Smash. This is going to get the games to be more popular. Next up, he talks about Xehanort being a memorable villain. And then, you know, in the interviewer asks him, now we're going to the last master, how do you follow up and create fresh conflicts? So there's a lot to this where he talks about how the structure was from Kingdom Hearts 1 to 2, with 1 being Ansem's, being Xehanort's Heartless, Xemnas being the Nobody. But the part that I really want to get into is in the trailer for the Kingdom Hearts 4, we've mentioned the Lost Mask arc. We're going to, delving into a new enemy figure for the continuation of the story. The new enemy has a lot to do with the masked characters that appear at the end of 3. They're going to be obstacles that stand in the front of Sora. Also in Kingdom Hearts 2.8, we showed what kind of characters they are, so the enemies have already appeared within the series. We'll be reintroducing them. And obviously there will be more new characters as well. We really can't go into details on those characters just yet. So, if you're wondering who are these masked characters, if you've played any of the Kingdom Hearts mobile games, like Kingdom Hearts, why am I drawing a blank on the name right now? Like Kingdom Hearts Key, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, there we go. Those are the 5, some of the apprentices of the Master of Master, and he's talking about the hooded figure and stuff. The Master of Masters was potentially in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer. I think it was him and Lushu, you know, but it's hooded figures. You never want to be certain, but that's kind of what it is. And he's kind of, you know, reaffirming the fact that the Lost Masters, the Foretellers, Lushu, that is what we're getting into. So the lore from the mobile games is now going to be the main focus of the mainline Kingdom Hearts game, which I'm really excited. When there was a drought with Kingdom Hearts, waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, the mobile games really kept me a fan. I'm a big fan of them, and I think they have some of the most fantastic lore and twists and turns of the series. So I'm very pumped to see where does that go. Do you feel it's important to keep Sora as the main protagonist, or do you ever see the series moving beyond him? This is Nomura going here and just essentially saying, like, hey, Sora's the main character. He's not going to change. And he actually flats out says, if Sora is no longer the main character, then I would also feel that would indicate the end of the numbered titles. He's that important to the series. So I think he's just basically just saying, like, spinoffs and stuff will have other characters lead games, but for main series, it's Sora. Sora is the main character. Sora is Kingdom Hearts. We're not really gonna see much of that, you know, further on. Like it's always gonna be Sora. He's not going away. Next up, he kind of addresses what a lot of people have been wondering about Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts. Because of the popularity of Kingdom Hearts, and there's a lot of fans that are, like, they love the Disney stuff, but there's some fans, like, who are take it or leave it. They can go without the Disney stuff. So with this, he's kind of addressing that Disney is Kingdom Hearts. You know, stuff like that. He says that Kingdom Hearts 4 might feel slightly different and stuff like that, but Disney's Kingdom Hearts, it's part of the franchise. It's not going anywhere. So that's what he's going to do. And he talks about how, as far as the graphic qualities, since with each new title, the specs have been really increasing, and there's so much more we can do in terms of graphics, kind of limits the number of worlds that we can create in a sense. At this time, we're considering how to approach that, but there will be Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4. My personal theory on this is I think we're obviously still going to see animated Kingdom Hearts worlds and stuff. But because Kingdom Hearts 4 is using a little more of a realistic approach with the graphics and stuff, and the art style. I think we're gonna do this so that we can get like the, everybody's theorizing Star Wars and Endor will be in the new game. So I think I wonder if the style is more to ease it in, because I do like some of the live action Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts, but they can look a little weird at times. I remember as a kid playing Kingdom Hearts 2, Pirates of the Caribbean was really off-putting to me. So that's very interesting. I'm really excited about that, though. So, and yeah, he's basically saying like Disney is Kingdom Hearts. It's part of the franchise. Then we go over here where when they talk about planning ideas, he says that every time they work on a title, he's already planning the next Kingdom Hearts title. And then he kind of goes over the big bit on this is about reaction commands, where he said fans didn't like it in Kingdom Hearts 2, but then when they took them out of 3, they said, why'd you take it out? So he kind of brought it back, which, I mean, it's understandable. I know a lot of people are hyped for reaction commands. I could take them or leave them. They don't really make or break the game for me. But I do know some people who did not like. I've talked to people and seen online people who didn't enjoy that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of. So yeah, that's kind of it for. That's kind of with the reaction commands and stuff like that. That's kind of what it is. It is what it is to me with that. But still interesting tidbit there to be there. Next up, they talk about Quadratum. Do you have a more realistic setting, giving you a bigger try new things with the game? And the interesting portion of this for me is he's kind of going over. It's a base. It's gonna be like a hub world. Essentially, that's my vibe I'm getting from this part of Kingdom Hearts, which I really like the idea. And he says we're going to see more of the day-to-day routines that Sora goes through. So I'm wondering, what does that entail for the game? I'm really excited for that. Like, Kingdom Hearts 4 is obviously going to be one of my most anticipated titles either way, but really trying to imagine what the game's going to be like. That first trailer really threw us all for a loop. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, this is another one that made a lot of noise for people, was Final Fantasy in the entries. Fans have been very concerned about the lack of Final Fantasy characters in newer entries. Do you still want to dial down the amount of them in the series, or is Kingdom Hearts 4 a chance to bring in more cameos? I understand there weren't many Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3. One thing I want to clear up is that a lot of fans are saying that Kingdom Hearts is this collaboration between Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters, but I really feel that's not the basic concept of Kingdom Hearts. That's not exactly what Kingdom Hearts is. When we released the first title, we only had a few original Kingdom Hearts characters. When they were interacting with really well-known, beloved Disney characters, I felt nobody really knew these characters, so it was harder for them to stand their ground just yet. So we had a lot of Final Fantasy characters involved to lend a hand for everyone to get to know these original characters better. Now there are so many original characters from Kingdom Hearts that are so well beloved, and people want to see more of those characters. With Kingdom Hearts 3, since we did have so many original Kingdom Hearts characters, it was hard to find room for including more Final Fantasy characters. We're trying to find a good balance for that. I know that some fans were concerned about that and weren't too happy and wanted to see more Final Fantasy characters. There's something we definitely are thinking about. But with just the sheer number of original characters that we have now, it's hard to say what the exact balance is going to be going forward and just how we'll play in Kingdom Hearts 4. We can't really give you a firm reply on this just yet. So this is incredibly interesting because, yes, that was one of the big things about Kingdom Hearts 4, not Kingdom Hearts 4, Kingdom Hearts 3 that really stood out to people was there was no Final Fantasy characters in the base game. There wasn't a Sephiroth boss battle, stuff like that. I would love the Final Fantasy characters to return, but I think Nomura makes a good point with the amount of original characters there are. And it was never the series was Final Fantasy, Disney, Kingdom Hearts. It was Disney is the mix. So I do get what he's going for. I don't think they should go away. I want to see them return, especially newer characters. Like I think Lightning from Final Fantasy 13 would be a really cool character to get into Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, a lot of people want Noctis because everything they're doing with Zora and Quadratum and everything. So that's a really tough one, but I'm very curious to see on what they're going to do. And then, do you want to give one final tease, for example, what they look forward to? And then he goes back and says there's not much new information. It's going to be a while. But he says in this interview they did reveal a little bit of info. So Nomura knew what he was doing. And then he also talks about Missing Link. Missing Link is launching this year. That is the new mobile game. It's going to be based in Scala Asylum. And it's going to have ties to Kingdom Hearts 4, obviously, and stuff. The narrator of the game is the same, of the trailer for Missing Link is the same narrator from Kingdom Hearts 4. Sigurd is the narrator, I believe, and he was in that scene in Union Cross with Brain when he reaches Scala Asylum. So that's always the mobile games are always going to give us a lot of lore and info. So, like I said, I thought it was an incredibly interesting interview, and I kind of just wanted to go over and give my thoughts on it. Kingdom Hearts 4. Kingdom Hearts is my favorite video game series of all time. It's up there for me. Sora's probably my favorite video game character of all time. Maybe Zigbar. I don't know, because I just love the dude. But, this is a big series to me, so I really can't wait. But yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all think. What's going on. What Nomura teases in here. It's very interesting stuff. With that, y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe. And I'll see y'all down the road. Bye-bye.